Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So there's been a whole bunch of Marvel news lately, really big stuff, mostly about Ant-Man and Doctor Strange, but they basically just said that they're making sweeping changes to the way they introduce new characters to the Marvel movie universe. So this video is mostly going to be a breakdown of that, but then I'll talk about some of the cool stuff that's going on behind the scenes of Ant-Man and the Doctor Strange movie. Lots of cool stuff to get through, so let's start with the most important stuff. No more Marvel origin stories. Here is basically what happened. There are currently 30 comic book films from all the studios being released between now and 2020. That's 30 tentpole, big budget movies every 6 years. That's totally crazy. And if you look at the model that the studios use for making movies about new characters like Marvel, Fox, Sony, all of them, you really start to see why they're dropping origin stories. It makes a lot of sense given all these new films that are coming. Doctor Strange just happens to be the first Marvel movie that's going to adhere to this rule. And if you guys really want, you can let me know, but I'll do a video just for all 30 of those comic book films. It's crazy. It's a super long list. I just didn't want to do it in this video. This is basically what used to happen when a studio had a character or team that it wanted to start a new franchise for, like Avengers. You have your origin story movie first, then the sequel with more villains. You stuff more villains into the second movie, and then another sequel, like the third movie, where the hero crashes and burns emotionally. And then you get the team-up movie, the Avengers movie. It's a formula that every single studio has used for new comic book characters, and it's been happening since Tim Burton's Batman movies and the Spider-Man franchise, the first Spider-Man franchise. It's been a long time since then. Tim Burton's first Batman film was 1989. Marvel, in their infinite wisdom, with all the movies they just announced, felt like people would get sick of that formula. You know, after 20 plus origin story movies, people just wouldn't care as much anymore. So in response, starting with Doctor Strange, Marvel will no longer introduce new comic book characters in origin stories. What does that mean in real life? That just means that when we go into the theater and see the Doctor Strange movie, he's already going to be Sorcerer Supreme at the beginning of the film. Just to explain where the movie's at right now, they have a director named Scott Derrickson and a writer named John Spates. He's actually the guy that wrote Prometheus for Ridley Scott. So depending on how you felt about Prometheus, that's a good thing or a bad thing. Those are relatively recent developments, but here's what's happened with the movie so far at the studio. They've had an in-house script for a long time. Marvel hires teams of writers that just comb through their catalog of characters and try to develop scripts for characters that haven't been used in the movies yet. It's an in-house writing program that they've had for a long time. That's actually how Guardians of the Galaxy ended up becoming a movie. A female writer inside the program named Nicole Perlman thought that Guardians would make a great movie, so she wrote a script. Marvel liked that script so much that they sent it out to directors until James Gunn accepted and signed on to the project. He rewrote that original script, and the same thing is totally happening on the Doctor Strange movie right now. Scott Derrickson and John Spates are just rewriting the original script. It was written to be an origin story, so since Marvel's not doing that anymore, they naturally just have to throw that script out and write something totally new. The new script they're working on will structurally look more like Batman Begins or Man of Steel. It'll still deal with origins, but only in flashbacks. I know it's kind of funny and it makes it seem like Marvel's copying something that DC and Warner Brothers has done, but that's not what's actually going on. Like, they're not copying Christopher Nolan. It's just that Batman Begins is a good example of an origin story that's not told like a traditional origin story. Even Guardians of the Galaxy already skipped a lot of the characters' origins. You see Star-Lord as a child for like 5 minutes before it picks up with him as a fully actualized scoundrel/hero. But let me know how you guys feel about this. Would you rather see, all these new comic book characters like Black Panther, Doctor Strange show up as like actual superheroes in the movie, or do you want to see the origin story first? Like, do you want to see them become that hero? The thing that would be missing from a lot of these films would be the hero learning to use his powers for the first time. Like, that's typically one of the biggest montages of origin stories. Honestly, I think that just given the 30 films that we're going to be seeing in the next 6 years, it's going to be a fresh change of pace. I think it'll be a good thing. They can still totally do origin stories just as like digital content or like Marvel one-shots, like something they would include with a DVD release. And that original Doctor Strange script wasn't terrible. I mean, Marvel liked it enough to send it out to directors. It was written by the guy who wrote Sahara, the Matthew McConaughey movie. That was actually a pretty terrible movie. You can insert any joke that you want. But the original script, the origin story, featured Mordo as the main villain and followed the original comic book origin story pretty faithfully. There was an animated movie that did another version of the origin story. If you haven't seen it, it's just as good as any of the other Marvel animated films. I think it's streaming on Netflix right now, so you guys can watch it if you want. You guys may have also heard about all the recent actor changes around Doctor Strange. They actually found their person, but because he did not sign his contract before Comic-Con, they haven't announced it yet. The biggest rumors lately were Joaquin Phoenix and Jared Leto. Benedict Cumberbatch made some jokes during his panel at Comic-Con. He'd be my pick, and he has been in talks with the studio, but next year, whenever they'd be shooting the movie, he's actually going to be doing Hamlet So it's a schedule conflict. So I don't think that Benedict Cumberbatch is going to be able to be Doctor Strange, even if you wanted to. And if they're going to go with someone like Joaquin Phoenix, I think ditching the origin story is a good idea too. I think he's really good for like the crazy Sorcerer Supreme Doctor Strange. I don't think he'd be as good for the Stephen Strange Doctor. It's also totally possible that the actor they want hated that origin story script, and that's part of what's holding things up. Sometimes actors won't sign on to a project if they think the script is terrible. The movie is scheduled for release in 2016 right now, so if they're going to start shooting next year, like they'd have to start shooting next year, they're going to have to find their man in the next couple of months. So we should all expect some sort of casting news, at least before December, I'd say. Speaking of shooting, on to Ant-Man. They just started filming this week in San Francisco and released this picture. It's basically from day one of them filming on the set. Just to compare, the Fantastic Four reboot movie has finished filming, like they're totally done with that movie, and they have not released any images or any promo art. It just makes you appreciate how open Marvel is with their projects. Like, they don't have to show us things, but they totally do. What the picture shows is obviously Paul Rudd as Scott Lang in a van down by the river, kind of looking like he's a homeless man. The thought is that they changed the previous Ant-Man script and they're being a little bit more faithful to the comic book origins. The original script had him working at Hank Pym's company along with Yellow Jacket. They explained some of the details at the Comic-Con panel, so I'll be sure to link that video in the description. Now it seems like Paul Rudd's version of the character is just going to be much more faithful to the comics. He's going to be a common criminal stealing stuff to pay for his daughter's medical bills. He was always a brilliant scientist, he just became a common criminal to help his family survive. He ended up stealing the Ant-Man costume and eventually Hank Pym passed the torch. There was another video I did a while ago where I kind of explained the Ant-Man origin story in just a little bit greater detail, so I'll add another link for that in the description too. It's a pretty straightforward origin story. He first appeared in the comics during Avengers 181 in 1979, and officially took the mantle of Ant-Man in Marvel Premiere 47 later that year, so you should definitely check those comics out. And in a funny twist of fate, Matt Fraction started using him again, the Scott Lang character, in his Fantastic Four comic in 2012. I know it was funny that I compared the Fantastic Four reboot movie to the Ant-Man movie, but that was just a coincidence. I'm really hoping to see Paul Rudd in a future Avengers movie. That's probably not going to happen during Avengers 2, but he was part of the team in the comics. Maybe by the time they get around to Avengers 3, he'll show up on the roster. Marvel has announced that they will be changing the Avengers roster between Age of Ultron and the third movie. Too many new characters will be around by then for them to not include them. And we also have to consider that there might be actors leaving the franchise, like stop being their characters, like Samuel L. Jackson and Robert Downey Jr. They're currently like the most senior members at Marvel Films right now. That's actually a pretty good question to end on. Which core Avenger do you think will be the first to leave their role, like stop being their character in the movies? Personally, my bet's on Robert Downey Jr. just because he's currently only signed to one more movie, and that's Avengers 3. That was part of the deal that he signed. Avengers 2 and Avengers 3, and that's it. Unless they sign a new contract. Just because I haven't done it in a while, tomorrow I'm going to do a Marvel Q&A video, so feel free to ask me any Marvel-related question you want. It doesn't have to be about the movies, but be sure to subscribe to get that video. I've also got an Arrow Season 3 video I'm working on for tomorrow too. It's going to be a villains video. They just announced Komodo, so I'll explain him and some of the other big Season 3 villains. But right now, you can click here to get that Q&A. I'll add the annotation as soon as I post it. And you can click here to learn all about Marvel's Inhumans movie. That's probably going to be one of the other Phase 3 movies. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. High fives.